Words are complicated. The deeper you go, the more history and synonyms and culture you start to uncover with these words. You're like an archaeologist, and the more you dig, the more you find. But the real question is how can you study a word deeply without using up so much precious time?
That is a question. What's up, guys? Welcome to Waiguo Friends English. It is good to have you back. For this video, when we refer to memorizing, we are referring to repeated review in order to shove a word deep into your mind so that you can recall it whenever you need it.
Just blasting a word with as much repetition as you can to try to get that thing lodged right there.
Right into your head. By this point, you've probably figured out that memorizing English vocabulary is not going to get you to fluency. Because, let's be honest, you can memorize 20,000 English vocabulary words and find out that as soon as you stop memorizing, you're going to lose a ton of them. Or you memorize a ton of words just to find out that hundreds of the ones that you memorized are not words that we use that frequently at all, or ones that you are even going to use in the region that you moved to. So what's the point?
We have to take an honest look at the amount of time that it takes to memorize, to really understand words.
And you really don't have to memorize them. Early on, yes, you have to memorize words. You just have to. But once you get to advanced English, you have a solid foundation to pull from. So you can learn words by association more so than by just straight up memorizing.
One way around the problem of memorizing a ton of words is to study different, more interesting synonyms for those things that you're commonly expressing, to beef up your vocabulary. Instead of saying something like very good, or very important, or very hungry, you try to use some more interesting synonyms, maybe like stellar, or indispensable, or starving. And that is all well and good. There's more personality there. There's things that you can do to make language more colorful and more fun, and that's great. But the problem is that depending on the context, could depend on whether or not that synonym is inappropriate, or it just sounds awkward or strange, or it's just not right.
Like stellar can sound a little bit immature in some contexts, sometimes. It depends on where you are. Indispensable sometimes is not exactly the right way to use that. Maybe dominant is a better term, or paramount, or key, or chief, or critical, or something like this would be a better option. Or sometimes starving may not be appropriate. It might be rude in contexts where such exaggeration is not appreciated.
So how can you do it then? How can you study these words? How can you beef up that vocabulary? How can you build it out and still remain culturally sound and culturally appropriate? That sounds like it's a lot of work and a lot of time pressure. How do we do this? And how do you keep it all straight in your head? Well, the answer is intentional observation.
Intentional observation is fundamental for learning words without memorizing lists of words. It's the way that we learn nuances. It's like, oh, I can use that word here, but not here. It means taking the time to look for the word, noting the context in which it appears, note the way somebody says it, or the way that it is used in order to understand and pick up on some hints as to how to use that and how you can use that. And spending time to think critically about it and the context it's used in and why another word wasn't used in a certain place, or if that was an intentional motion for a purpose. Like, was it trying to evoke something? Whatever. So here's how to do that step by step.
So step one is choose your words wisely. Not every word you should dive deep into, and we recognize that when we talk about trying to understand words. No, we are not trying to suggest that you memorize thousands of words of even a year. What we're suggesting is you choose your words wisely. You choose your battles wisely, choose your words wisely, because those words can have really deep meanings that you can uncover, you can use appropriately in the right context. But if you try to find a word that nobody uses, then that's a waste of time. Don't try to memorize that. Don't try to dig deep into that word when there are plenty of other really good choices that you could be diving deep into.
When you are reading and listening to English daily, because you should be doing so daily, right? You are consuming hundreds and thousands of English words. If you find one that is just popping up regularly, constantly, and you don't exactly know what it means, but you do understand it vaguely by context, that's a word that you should add to your list. That's a word that you should know. At least look it up and see if there are synonyms that you know for that word. Other words that you can add to that list are synonyms for the words that you tend to use over and over and over again, and you kind of feel limited in how well you are able to express yourself or be understood by using those words. Things like very important, I'm very hungry, or very good.
Second is you gotta take notes. I will be the first to admit I'm not a terribly good note taker, but if you want to dive deep into English, if you want to actually be able to be fluent, you have to take notes. That's asking questions such as, what is the broader context that this word is used in? What's the immediate context that this word is used in? What synonyms do I know that could take this word's place or this phrase's place? Why does this word appear here instead of other synonyms? And how is the author or speaker using this term? Are they trying to evoke some sort of feeling? Are they trying to use this word specifically to try to kind of do or say or imply a certain meaning behind the meaning that you see directly in front of you?
Third, you've got to mimic the way that word was used. So if you're watching a TV show, you see this word pop up and you're like, I found it. Try to say it the way the character says it in the TV show, okay? And this will feel a little bit weird, but go out to your mirror and just act it out. Say it. Make sure you feel yourself saying it. Try to say it with the same body language and facial expressions. And yes, this could be absolutely ridiculous. You might feel like a fool for doing it, but shadowing and imitating really work. It really helps you step into an English self and really get into using those words. Another thing you can do if you see it in writing is try to do the same thing. You can stand up and try to use it in a mirror, but you can also write down a few sentences on that same topic, trying to use that word in a similar way. So the thing is you've got to just try to use the word and try to use it immediately. As soon as you see it in a context, try to mimic that context.
Fourth is you have to use it in a real conversation. We cannot stay behind our mirrors. We cannot stay behind our books. We actually have to take this word out and use it in a real conversation because, number one, that's just how we get validated. That's how another real speaker looks at us and says, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And they toss it back to you. And you're like, I did it. I dug deep into this word and I heard it used and now I'm using it. And it's great. The context fits perfectly. It helps the conversation flow really well. It's like using a tool for the job it's meant to be used for. That's the best way and the most efficient way to do the job. And you just got to keep using it. And if you're not sure about how exactly to use it in a natural conversation, ask a native speaker, and they will likely be able to kind of help you and coach you through that process. So whatever the word is, like starving, what's a way that you can use that appropriately in this context versus that context? And that person will likely be able to give you solid examples of how to do that.
All right, so there you go. If you want to get started on a list of words that you probably should know as an advanced speaker, then check out our phrasal verb videos. We have created a set of English phrasal verb videos that explore phrasal verbs by context. We start with a context like work or meetings at work or cooking in the kitchen or something like this. And we walk you through a list of phrasal verbs that often appear in that context so that you have a setting. You've probably actually done this before, and then you've got these phrasal verbs to describe in English what those actions are. Phrasal verbs are notoriously difficult to master in English. We list each term's meaning. We give an example of it and how to use it in a sentence. We talk about other ways that you might see it pop up, like as a noun or as an adjective, or whether we hyphenate it. And we also give you any outside uses in another context. So they're very helpful resources. We have those videos right here. There's a whole playlist for you to check out there. And every single video comes with a natural listening practice video where Josh and I have a conversation totally unscripted for that context, and you can just hear those phrasal verbs come up naturally in our conversation. Like, we don't plan those out, we don't script them. That's it. So if you want to observe some of those, you can find those also in the description below.
That's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you continue to push forward towards fluency.